What it was infant mental health. I had no idea what that meant. It doesn't mean necessarily that the infant has mental health issues. It just talks about how the family's dynamics can play a role in shaping the infant's mental health. Welcome to Tune In, Bond to Bloom. Today is the fourth episode of the new podcast, and it is my 1 year anniversary of being an early interventionist pediatric physical therapist. So by the time this comes out, it will be a little bit past that 1 year. And it is crazy to think about all that has happened in this past year and remembering my decision to make, I called it jumping off a cliff, to make that decision to do it and actually leave my job. So, a little background on that. Most of my career, I have been a physical therapist in a hospital, ICU, trauma, neuro, things like that. I did have pediatric experience, but it had been a long time. And I had always had this calling to want to work with babies. And it's like any other job. If you don't have the experience, it's really hard to break into. So breaking into the NICU is very, very difficult. And I thought, okay, well, someday I'll just be a NICU cuddler, and that'll be the way that I get that fulfilled. So fast or rewind to last July, I was feeling really burnt out of my job. I just felt like a lot of doors were closing. There were not many opportunities for me to expand and grow. And since growth is a major value of mine, it was hard. It was hard to like just keep shoving that down. And I kept trying different angles and nothing was working. And so I applied for this job as an early interventionist with a different company. I got the job. It didn't feel right. The vibe was not right. Another job was posted on Facebook in my community. A friend saw it, told me about it because she had heard that that's what I wanted to do. I reached out to that woman, kind of asking her about the other job offer that I had gotten because something just didn't feel right. And she kind of confirmed my gut about it. And then she offered me a job, but it was really far and I'd have to drive a lot. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And then 30 minutes later, she called back and she was like, well, she's like, it's a long story. I can't really explain it on here. It's not important, but there's a way that you could work for us and then be in a little territory that's closer. It was like a 30-minute drive. And I was like, yeah, I would love that. And so we started an interview the next day, got offered the job the following day, and it's been like just great since. So it was scary. It was really scary to take that leap. Single mom, super uncertain about the financial stability. Am I going to be able to make what I made, if not more? And just not knowing. I had to like purchase my own insurance because I'm a contractor. And I knew I'd love the job, but what I didn't think about that much ahead was how different this would be in terms of like I was a true beginner. Like, yes, I had my own kids. I understand about development, but there were so many parts to this job that I just did not even know I was going to be able that I was going to be doing. And so having that beginner's mindset, I love being a beginner, but like when it's your job, it's a challenge. And so I had to really humble myself and ask for help, tell people I don't know, and that was hard. Like I did it because I've done a lot of work on that. I was like, I am not going to let my ego get in the way of this. And I'm sure I wasn't perfect, but if I didn't know, I would just tell somebody, I don't know. Can you help me? And I have the most wonderful team, which I'll get into a little bit later, but they've all been so, so helpful in helping me understand their discipline. So as an early interventionist, you are not only like I am a physical therapist, but I'm also sometimes I'm the only one on the case or on the case. And in doing so, there are questions that come up about feeding, language, sensory, autism, sleep, all of those things. And I need to know enough about that to be able to address those questions or go get the answers elsewhere. And so over time, my teammates have taught me so much about that. And I love it. Absolutely love it. I have fallen in love with feeding. I fall in love with language, which I did a lot growing up with my brothers being deaf, but like understanding it from a pre-language development when they're just one and like, why are they not talking? And all of these skills that they have to have before they actually say words. I did not really know that. So, that was hard in the beginning is it I didn't know what I didn't know at first. Like in the beginning, it was like all excitement for the first 2 months. And then I started to realize, oh my gosh, there's so much that I don't know. And I started feeling a little overwhelmed. I felt a little bit like the internal struggle of, I don't know this, and am I going to be able to learn it? And I just decided I'm just going to ask for help when I need it. So quickly I realized that doors opened in this new role. So about 2 or 3 months into it, I recognized how important it was to be trauma informed. And I am a little bit, I've done my own work, but not so much like with babies and families. And so I went to my supervisor and I was like, hey, I really want to take a trauma informed class. And so I sent her one that I wanted to take. And she's like, yeah, that one looks great. She goes, but I just got this one in an email last week. What do you think about this? And what it was infant mental health. I had no idea what that meant. It doesn't mean necessarily that the infant has mental health issues. It just talks about how the family's dynamics can play a role in shaping the infant's mental health. And if the family isn't healthy, the mom and dad have trauma, birth trauma for the baby, other sibling trauma, then there is going to be a lot of difficulty that the family is going to have. And so to be informed about that is going to be so helpful for the family so that you can show up and support them and not just show up and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. So I started on that path of an infant mental health specialist. It's a year program for the education, and then it's a 2-year program for the reflective consultation portion in order to get endorsed. So reflective consultation, I'm going to try to explain that to you the best way I can. But it's basically being able to come to somebody that's the reflective supervisor with something that you're struggling with, or difficult family, or difficulty in yourself. I'm feeling emotionally burnt out, and be able to process that with that person who's acknowledging, validating. They're not really telling you what to do, but they're asking you questions, much like a coach. They're asking you questions on how your perspective is clouding this. So, like, maybe the mom has some trauma that you haven't thought of, and maybe she's showing up and she's abrasive every time you go, and you're just butting heads every time. But, like, how can you make a little bit of a shift to change the dynamic? So, in 2 years, a little less than 2 years, I will have that endorsement and be able to add that to my tool belt, which that really is my passion, is to show up emotionally and support families emotionally, um, just in life in general. So there's that. The other thing that I didn't really know about that I was surprised about is that early intervention is a coaching model. It is not a medical model. So most of my career has been the medical model. And as a coach, I'm not going in the house and I'm not working on crawling for 50 minutes. I'm not. I am asking them what's new since last time I was here. Have you had any doctor's appointments? I'm asking them how the strategies have gone that I have I have taught to them. Are they implementing them? Where have they gotten stuck? And kind of going through that with them, and then seeing where that child is at right there in the present time, and what we can do to get them closer to, whatever milestone they're behind on, or whatever it is that mom or dad wants to work on at that time. And because I'm the physical therapist, I do get a lot of the babies, because the babies have the gross motor delays typically. And so in doing so, I might be the only one on that case. And then the baby will sometimes have some feeding issues. The baby will have some language, at 14, 15 months, if they're not making consonant vowel sounds. Like, so I need to know enough to be able to start bringing that into my sessions. And so, yeah, the coaching model, I love, love, love it, because it's like a family thing. So it's like the mom or dad or the caregiver, the daycare provider, myself, and the child. And we're all kind of working together for what their goals are. It's not about me, it's about what they want to work on with the child. So I talked about early interventionist. That was like, just how much that encompasses was really important to know. And I have absolutely fallen in love with learning about feeding. That has been my number one thing. So the speech therapist on my team is so good at what she does, and she shows me, teaches me, sends me things, and I feel like I have like a minor in speech therapy right now, and just understanding baby feeding, older kid, mostly baby feeding, but a little bit older child, and how to progress them from purees and on. And it has just been amazing. Also falling in love with pre-language. That is not something that I knew. So there's all these steps that have to happen before a child can say words. And so some of it is interaction, some of it is joint interaction, how much attention they pay to a task that you're doing with them. Can they sit for 2 minutes and do like a container play game? So that part has been amazing to learn. Sensory processing, huge, huge, huge. The OTs on our team are great about that and teaching me and showing me how to help a child that has some sensory processing disorder be able to tune into them, to be able to have a better session and educate them better. And then a lot of autism. So usually they're now able to diagnose autism as young as 12 months. So sometimes I will have an older child that maybe is not walking or not not having the advanced skills like jumping and things like that. And then learning so much about autism. So having all of those people on my team being able to educate me, show me, model to me what normal typical development looks like in those other areas. So we have a developmental specialist, we have an occupational therapist, speech therapist, and then a service coordinator. That's what makes up our team, and plus me, the physical therapist. And I cannot explain like how wonderful our team is. Everybody seems to be open, honest, transparent, humble. There's nobody that thinks they know it all. They are loving to learn, loving to grow, loving to teach. And we all get along well, we all communicate well. And I just feel so blessed to have that in my life. And they've become friends. Like after a year, we'll do things outside of work. We'll go out to brunch, or we have all these activities that we're trying to plan, but so many things have happened, surgeries and babies and all the things. But that is the goal, is to learn about each other and be a very strong team so that we can support and show up for our families better. So, also, two other opportunities have come into my life since starting this job that are brand new. They're not ironed out yet, so I can't really share on here until they come to fruition. But I am so excited for the possibilities of these. And they're things that I didn't even really think about. And then the other one is something I've been thinking about for years and years and years. And I have been trying to manufacture it happening. And I just kept hitting roadblocks. And maybe I just hadn't grown into that person that could hold that in my life yet. And maybe it wasn't meant to be until now that I have all the support from everybody else. But I'm really excited about these two opportunities. And as they come to fruition, I will share on here a little bit more. So some perks about this job that I love. I love the flexibility. I love that I can make my own schedule. I can shift kids around. So I moved my kids to 4 days a week because I was noticing that I was having these big gaps during the day. I was like spending time at Starbucks, or it's hot as the sun here in Arizona. And then I was in my car. And so I moved the kids to 4 days. And just like a couple of days after that happened, somebody reached out to me for an opportunity to do for that other day, which obviously was a God thing. But so um, I love that each day is different. I have meetings sometimes. I have sessions. I have going to an orthotic appointment, or going to an equipment appointment where the kid is getting a stander or a gait trainer or something like that. Going to a indoor play place. That's a big thing that I do a lot with kids. So every day is different. It never looks the same. And for me, novelty is another one of my values, which is super important for me never to get bored. I love change. I love growing. So there's that. And the other thing, documentation. I do have to document for every child. We are supposed to do it in the session, which is wonderful. But like 90 to 95% of my time is spent face to face with the family or the child instead of in front of a computer. And I am really thankful for that, because I felt like in the past that, it was slowly becoming 50-50, 50% FaceTime, 50% documentation, and repetitive documentation where I'm repeating the same thing 2 to 3 times each time I'm documenting about a patient. And so that part I really love. So as I wrap this up, I wanted to come on here and just have a follow up after 1 year. Happy 1 year anniversary to me in this job. And I'm so grateful that I took the leap. And I want to encourage you to take a leap too. Be smart about it. Make sure you really vet everything before you do it. But the things that you want in life are out there. Continue to take a step forward. Continue to notice the people and the things that come into your life that are like signposts on the path to continue to go that way. So thank you for all the support. I am planning to have my team on here and interview each of them over time so that you can get their perspective, as well as when families graduate, be able to interview the mom or dad or caregiver and explain how important it is to understand your own trauma or your own wounds in order to show up best for your children. Make it a great day.